Welcome to Slow English. Have you ever noticed something strange about the human mind? Sometimes life is going well. Nothing serious is wrong. The day is calm. Your responsibilities are under control. There is food, shelter, and time to rest. And yet the mind still feels slightly uneasy. Thoughts continue moving. The brain keeps searching for something. It asks quiet questions. What should I do next? Did I forget something? What if something goes wrong tomorrow? Many people believe this feeling means something is wrong with their life. They think happiness should appear when life becomes stable. But psychology suggests something different. The human brain was not designed to feel satisfied for long periods of time. In fact, the brain evolved to do something else. It evolved to search for problems. To understand why, we need to look at human history. For most of human existence, life was uncertain. Food was not always available. Weather could suddenly change. Danger could appear without warning. Because of this environment, the brain developed a very important habit. It learned to constantly scan the world for possible threats. Even when nothing dangerous was happening, the brain stayed alert. This habit helped humans survive. People who noticed small problems early had a better chance of staying safe. Their brains were always observing, always checking, always asking a quiet question. Is something wrong? This ability was extremely useful thousands of years ago. Today, many people live in environments that are relatively safe. Food is available. Shelter is stable. Daily life is structured. And yet the brain continues doing what it learned to do. It keeps searching for problems, even when life is relatively calm. This creates an interesting experience. The mind rarely stays fully satisfied. Even after finishing one task, the brain immediately begins looking for the next concern. Something unfinished, something uncertain, something that still needs attention. To understand this better, it helps to look at another characteristic of the human mind. The brain dislikes unfinished situations. Psychologists have studied this pattern for many years. When the brain begins a task or a problem, it wants closure. It wants the situation to reach a clear ending. When something feels incomplete, the mind keeps returning to it. This effect appears in many areas of life. A conversation that ended awkwardly. A task that was started but not finished. A decision that still feels uncertain. The brain keeps thinking about these situations. Not because people want to worry, but because the brain is trying to finish something. This process happens quietly in the background of the mind. Sometimes people describe it as mental noise. Mental noise is not a sound. It is the experience of many small thoughts remaining active at the same time. The brain is trying to organize them, resolve them, understand them. But modern life creates many situations that do not have clear endings. Deadlines move, plans change, messages arrive, new information appears. And because of this, the brain rarely experiences complete closure. Instead, it carries many small unfinished thoughts throughout the day. This creates the feeling many people recognize as overthinking. The mind returns to the same questions repeatedly, not because the person wants to worry, but because the brain is still searching for completion. Another important part of this experience involves attention. Attention is one of the brain's most valuable resources. It allows the mind to focus on something specific: reading, working, listening, solving a problem. But attention is limited. The brain cannot focus deeply on many things at the same time. And every time attention changes direction, the brain uses a small amount of energy. In earlier human environments, attention moved slowly. People focused on one activity for longer periods: preparing food, walking, repairing tools, speaking face to face with others. Attention shifted naturally, but it did not jump constantly. Today, attention moves much faster. Modern environments contain many signals competing for attention. Screens display information. Messages arrive unexpectedly. New content appears continuously. Each signal invites the brain to change focus. Individually, these signals seem small, but together they create a pattern. Attention begins to jump rapidly from one thing to another. When this happens many times during the day, the brain becomes tired. Not physically tired, mentally tired. Because each shift of attention leaves a small, unfinished trace in the mind. The brain begins to carry many open mental loops, and these loops create the experience of mental pressure. This is why some people say their mind feels busy even when they are resting. The body may be relaxed, but the brain is still processing unfinished signals, trying to close many small loops of attention. This constant mental activity makes calmness difficult to experience, not because calm moments do not exist, but because the brain is still searching, still scanning, still trying to resolve unfinished information. To understand this more clearly, it helps to observe quiet moments during daily life. Sometimes people sit in silence. Nothing urgent is happening. No task demands attention. And yet the mind continues moving. Thoughts appear. Questions appear. The brain continues searching for something to resolve. This may seem frustrating, but it is simply the brain doing what it was designed to do. It is trying to protect the individual by identifying possible problems early. However, there is an interesting paradox here. The same ability that helped humans survive can also make modern life feel mentally heavy, because the brain continues scanning even when danger is not present. It continues searching for something wrong, and when it cannot find a clear problem, it may create one. Small uncertainties become larger in the mind. Minor details receive more attention than they deserve. The brain simply wants something to solve. This explains why certain activities feel surprisingly calming. Walking slowly in nature, watching rain fall, listening to quiet music, looking at the sky in the evening. During these moments, something unusual happens. The brain stops searching for problems. Attention rests on a single experience. There is nothing urgent to solve, nothing incomplete demanding immediate attention. The mind experiences a rare condition: stillness. In that stillness, the brain finally stops scanning. Thoughts slow down. Mental loops close naturally, and the mind feels lighter. This feeling is often described as peace. Not excitement, not intense happiness, just peace. Psychologically, this state appears when the brain feels that nothing urgent requires attention. For a short time, the mind is not searching. It is simply experiencing the present moment. This explains why peaceful people sometimes appear different. Their lives are not necessarily easier. They still have responsibilities. Challenges still appear, but their minds spend more time in states where attention feels complete. Instead of carrying many unfinished thoughts, their attention settles on one thing at a time. Conversations finish naturally. Tasks reach clear endings. Moments of rest remain uninterrupted. These small patterns create a different mental environment. The brain experiences fewer open loops, fewer unresolved signals, and this reduces the pressure inside the mind. Over time, the brain begins to trust that life is manageable. Not perfect, but manageable. This feeling is extremely important. Psychologists often describe emotional well-being as the experience that life feels understandable and manageable most of the time. When the brain believes this, it relaxes. Alertness decreases. Thoughts become clearer. Emotions become more stable. And something interesting becomes easier to notice. Ordinary moments begin to feel meaningful. A quiet evening, a comfortable routine, a calm conversation. These moments may appear simple, but when the mind is not overloaded, they feel rich. Not dramatic, but satisfying. This leads to an important realization. Happiness may not always come from adding more excitement to life. Sometimes it appears when the mind experiences fewer unfinished signals, when attention moves more slowly, when the brain finally feels that it doesn't need to keep searching. In that moment, something subtle appears, a quiet sense that life is enough right now, not perfect, not complete, but enough. And sometimes, that quiet feeling is closer to real happiness than we expect. Thank you for spending this quiet time here. And perhaps the next calm moment in your day will feel a little more meaningful.